confidential part of this whole meeting for you. I promise. All right? God save the Queen, man.
God save the Queen, as our U.S. president says. But of course, Queen Elizabeth hasn't been around for a while, so I know that was another gaffe from Biden. But let's carry on to what this topic of this video is. Megan Markle, Harry, as well as King Charles and Kate Middleton, the princess. So you remember a few years ago with Oprah, Harry and Meghan, they did an interview in which there was some concern from Oprah. You can see from this video where she's aghast and having to repeat a few times about there was a serious discussion about Archie's skin color.
So concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you?
With Harry.
About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Okay.
Compartmentalized
they were
conversations.
concerned that if he were too brown, that would be a problem. Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one.
So Harry later backtracks and says there was no racism allegations. It was an unconscious bias.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
No, we didn't. The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
there was concern
color.
about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
So, and in fact, I can kind of understand that maybe it wasn't racist, but Meghan, she was trying to put fuel on the fire, and there is no doubt about that. So I think Harry's just trying to protect and cover for Meghan, because what she said, frankly, I think was inappropriate in that way. So look at me, for example. I have darker features. I have dark hair. Those are dominant genes. And of course, other lighter complexion would be of a recessive gene. So that people just know that, right? And whether or not you have a serious conversation about that, I don't think really people do that. It might be off the cuff, just saying, oh, well, you know, they're not going to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed children, right? That's just a given. And I think that Meghan Markle perhaps blew this out of proportion, and she was trying to get attention and trying to be a gossiper, and it just seemed that way to me. And really, I think Harry is on borrowed time now. I don't think they're going to be together very much longer. I think Meghan has embarrassed him quite a bit and probably taken away a lot of his dignity. He's totally prostrated himself to her, and he appears very weak. So in my opinion, it seems that he's going to get dropped pretty soon, and he's going to be thinking like, wow, this relationship totally messed up my whole life there in the United Kingdom to be in the royal family. Because this guy, he's burned his bridges. He's gone to a point where there's no return. I feel sorry for him to a certain degree. But this whole situation with Omid Scobie, this journalist and author of Endgame about the royal family, King Charles and Kate Middleton were named as those people that were in question of that Oprah interview. So everyone was thinking, oh, well, who was it? They speculated it could have been King Charles, but Omid Scobie's snafu, this whole slip that went into the Dutch version of the book, pretty much cements that. And they were kind of trying to blame the translator or maybe someone in lieu of giving the manuscript to the Dutch translator snuck it in there, but I'm not buying it. I think it may have very well been part of the early draft to have included both of their names.
You don't accidentally put in a name, and you can't put it down to a mistranslation, can you? It does feel like a stunt to sell books, which I understand.
I wish it was the case.
Okay, how did it happen?
It's still being investigated right now. I had never submitted a book that had their names in it, so I can only talk about my version.
Yeah.
I'm obviously frustrated. I wouldn't say I'm upset about
Yeah.
it because, to be honest, I've been operating in a bubble of no emotion for the last 10 days.
And this is a big deal because this is nothing but hypocrisy. All these people saying the media is bad, they're always going after us, when in fact, Meghan and Harry, they are doing the very thing they are preaching against. The biggest load of hypocrisy, so I think this is pretty embarrassing for both of them. But what do you think? Is this a big deal at all? Or do you think, forget all this, who cares, I'm an American, why do we care about what's going on across the pond? And to all my British listeners, what do you think? Do you think it's important, or do you think this is just more gossip and stuff that's not really that important? So be sure to like and subscribe because there'll be more content to come.